Today we're looking at the technique for how to balance the handpiece for your Sri Lankan handpiece style faceting machine. The first thing that we need to do when we unbox our machine and set it up is to balance the handpiece so that we know that we're cutting with a straight girdle and that nothing's going to go wrong as we start cutting our stones. So there's two steps to this process. First, we need to balance the forward to backwards adjustment. Secondly, we want to adjust the left to right adjustment. The goal of this exercise is to get a perfectly balanced handpiece that is perfectly parallel with your lap. So this is what it should look like. Our final project for this video is to create a stone that has four sides exactly the same that meet up to a perfect pyramid at the top with balanced corners. Now there's three settings that we're going to be messing with on the handpiece. There's the front foot and there's the two back feet. The first step is to adjust the front foot, which is going to control the forward to backwards balance. To do this forward to backwards balance, we need to essentially cut 4 tables onto a stone. So I've dabbed just a random stone that I had laying around, and I'm going to cut the table. So I've adjusted my handpiece to 0 degrees. I put it on my 64 index, or maybe that's a 96 index for you. We're going to cut a flat table into the stone. Now check it to make sure the whole top's flat because we're going to be looking at the very subtle differences. We're going to adjust to the opposite side. For me that's 32. I'm going to cut the table again on 32, and what I'm looking for is to see if the 64 side and the 32 side are exactly the same. If I see that there's a second facet coming in, I know that I need to adjust the height a little bit of that front foot. Your 64 and 32 are cutting on the same plane, the same flat surface, and there's no difference between the flatness of the facet. Then you can go on to the next step. For the second part of this technique, we're going to cut a square in the girdle so that we can use it as a reference point for balancing. Adjust your handpiece to 90 degrees, and you're going to cut 4 sides. On my 64 index, it's going to be 64, 16, 32, 48. You want those to be at the exact same depth, so you're going to cut all 4 and make a perfect square. Now we can set our handpiece angle to 45 degrees, and we're going to be cutting in the 4 sides of the pyramid on top of the square. The reason why we do this is we want to see if our girdle line perfectly matches up. If you cut your 4 sides of your girdle and your 4 sides to your triangle, there's a couple different things you might see. You might see that 3 sides are matching up and it's just the 4th side that doesn't meet up. Or you might notice that the girdle line is visibly crooked on all 4 sides. These are both symptoms of the same problem, which is your left to right balance is not right, so we need to adjust one of the feet. Now in this balancing process, it doesn't matter whether you balance the left foot or the right foot. We've already set the front foot, so we're not going to touch that one anymore. We only need to balance left to right, and the goal is that when we finish cutting the square with the pyramid on top, all 4 girdle lines should be perfectly straight and they should perfectly meet at the corners. On my particular handpiece, I needed a little bit more adjustment, so I adjusted one of the back feet and I'm going to cut them again. Now, once I get very close in my balance, I really need to switch my laps. I was cutting on a 360 grit lap just so I could rough out that square quickly, but on the 360 grit I really can't see the fine facet line, so I switched to my 1200 centered lap, and I'm going to cut the 4 sides of the girdle again, and I'm going to cut the 4 sides of the pyramid again. Now that I have my 4 side cut, I can use the loop and see the very fine differences between the points at the corners. As I go around, notice that there's one side right about here where the girdle line doesn't meet up. So I'm going to adjust the foot again, pushing the high side lower, and I'm going to cut them again. Now it's getting better, but it's not exactly there yet, so I'm going to adjust a little bit more. I'm going to cut again. And you can see that there's still one side where the girdle doesn't match up, even though I balanced the other 3, because they're all tilted slightly up to the left. So I want to push the left side down by turning the bottom right foot slightly to the left. I'm going to cut the 4 sides of the girdle again, and then I'm going to cut the 4 sides of the culet. I'm going to double check because I think that I'm pretty close. If you don't cut the 4 sides of the girdle again, you're not referencing against the same plane of the adjustment of the feet. So once you've adjusted the feet a few times, you really need to go back and cut the girdle again, and then cut the culet again. Now once you have double checked you're perfectly balanced, all 4 corners are perfect in the loop, your 4 sides and your 4 corners have all been cut on the same foot setting, you can go ahead and cut in a reference point, a little notch, as you can see here. Cut it in with a razor blade and then gone over it with a pencil to darken it. So now I always know where 0 is. I can always get back to my center point because I know where the balance is. Now I want to make sure that my other 2 lock rings are tight. I never want to adjust these again, the handpiece is balanced, and I only use the bottom right foot while I'm fastening if I need to cheat a little bit on the girdle line or to adjust a step cut. Once this is finished, your handpiece is balanced and you're ready to go on to start faceting your stones. Thanks for watching and check back soon. We're going to be having a lot more instructional videos coming up online. You can stay updated through our social media or our website at www.igtthailand.com.